Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Hey, thanks, Alison. Yeah, that was a pretty fancy kitchen. That is for sure. That was a lot of fun the other night. Glad if you guys could have been with us in person, would have been awesome. But good we could stream it in, live streaming to see a bit of that amazing architecture up there in Brisbane. Welcome. Good morning to Graham and Sharon. For the rest of you guys, give us a shout out in the chat. Let us know where you're dialing in from if you're new. Hey, Chris. Good morning. I'm a bit croaky, actually. A little bit, feeling a little bit socialised out, folks. I've had 2 nights out. I had dinner 2 nights in a row, which is pretty unusual for me at the best of times. But of late, it's been a big couple of days. So, but it's been nice to hang out, have fun, catch up with a bunch of the clients up there in Brisbane and catch up with the team. So that was awesome as well. Good morning to you guys. I'll do a quick little intro just for those who may be wandering by. Jason Witt's my name. As it says down there, welcome to our morning wealth coffee chat where we hang out, usually at around about 8:10. Well, it's actually 8:10 now everywhere, isn't it? Well, not everywhere, but on the East Coast, daylight savings has stopped, which is awesome, and we're all hanging out together at the same time. So welcome, 8:10 in the mornings, usually Monday to Friday, other than potentially if I had a late night after mentoring. We get to hang out in the morning and talk because I've been property investing over 20 years, coaching property investors just like you over 18. And along the way, learnt 1 or 2 things, and I like to share them in the mornings. And sometimes you guys like to hang out and have a listen too. So it's great. Hey, Nigel, half an hour behind. Okay. Yeah, it's always sort of a bit East Coastish, isn't it? Like, the time focus, but it's great. So you guys, 7:40 down there. Hopefully it's not too early to get out of bed, Nigel. Great to see you, mate. And Alina, good to see you on this morning. Hey, listen, I wanted to talk about, the idea. You guys may have heard this before, and you might have thought this concept. The rich just keep getting richer. You guys seen any of those articles around? Heard of those things at a barbecue? The rich, the blah blah blah. Well, it's an interesting concept. Now, whether we're not going to bring what I would call a moral or a judgment to this concept today. I want to talk about why that is so. Why do the wealthy become just more wealthy? Tell me in the chat what you guys think. Why do the wealthy become more wealthy more often than not? Almost it seems without effort, right? Elon Musk, now becomes a 100 billionaire, and et cetera, et cetera. What happens? Yeah, and I think, Nigel, you're right on it, mate. The compounding effect of something, all right? Now, the compounding effect of time, more capital, more exposure, more investments, and a longer-term view. Now, a lot of people think, and if we talk at the extremes, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But, the idea that, Elon Musk, very wealthy person, must have happened, quick or whatever. It's taken him, his whole life. Now, maybe we aren't that person, that focus, but how can we benefit from us, you and me as property investors, team? How can we benefit from these factors that the wealthier you become, the easier it is to become more wealthy? Okay, and getting the start is what we're talking about. And once we get some momentum in there, then it starts to compound on itself. So as you go. So, Alison said, right, 30% profit is different. Yep, compared to, well, and also, lots of wealthier people understand the difference between profit and expenses and income and all sorts of stuff. Wealthy have assets making them money. You're dead right, Mark. And often, team, this is the part. There's a transition. There's let's call it a transformation that we have to undergo to get on to the same racetrack, let's say, the same trajectory that, let's say, people who are more connected to the concepts of wealth and compounding returns maybe than us right now, but we're on this journey. So how can we do that as property investors? I was just going to quickly share a couple of little things this morning. And, this is hopefully you guys can see that. I got to wear my glasses sometimes for the smaller stuff as you go. Yeah, are you buying an asset or are you buying a liability? So tell me, team, what is the first asset? Tell me, this should give it away. What's the first asset you are ever in charge of? Tell me. For everyone gets to control, gets to influence this asset. And by the way, it's the number one asset. It's the number one asset you're ever going to own. What is the best asset? What's the asset that we all get a piece of? And, I don't know, by and large, we get it for free. Your education, yeah. Alison, by the way, I think it's you and the education you collect. So you the person, you are the asset. And then you, the person, the human, the smart individual goes and gets some education. Alison, Nigel, you guys said it there. You choose the education. You choose the information. Now, maybe you don't choose it consciously when you're younger, but as you get older, you get to choose the information, the education that you can create things from. And then Sharon hit it on the head here. We're talking about the first port of call for most of us is a salary of some description, a job. Some of us are business owners online right now, but many of us start out in the world having a job. Nothing wrong with that. I'm a massive fan. If you're a property investor, there's lots of risks in starting your own business. That is for sure. But let's have a look at this. Here's the drill in Australia, team. Check this out. Right? Check this out. Some research. The average income in Australia, according to McCrindle, and these guys do some great demographic research, the McCrindle mob. The average household income, so that's combined household income, $109,000 across Australia, not individual, but household income. The average net worth, which includes your super and your equity and stuff like that, $1 million. Now, check that out. The average net worth of an average Aussie right now is $1 million. But is it enough? Team, I remember when I was growing up, I don't know about you, but, $1 million was like, whoa, mind-blowing, right? You think of that. But right now, like the average Aussie, the average couple, the average team, including their super and their house and maybe an investment or two, probably not, $1 million net worth. That's not too bad. But it's not enough, is it? You can't live on $1 million. And we need to learn how to transform this thing, which is our income, our number one thing, which is our income, into assets and wealth and value into the future, ladies and gents. One of the things that I wanted to point out, though, if you guys can see this, the lowest 20% of the income world earn just 4% of the income and wealth in Australia, where if you look at this, here it is over here, sorry. And the lowest actually own just 1%. 1% of the wealth in Australia, all right? Okay, so check this out, though, and this is what the wealth of the average household in the top 20% is 80 times. 80 times. How does that happen? How does that work? And sometimes this incents people. It's like, bloody rich jerks, they've got all the money and whatever. Well, that is certainly not my experience by and large when it comes to most people and their storage of wealth. What happens? What goes on? How does this transfer? How does this become a reality? Let's quickly look at this. And I call it the 4X transformation, not to be confused with Sam's 4X growth strategy team. What is the first thing that we can use to transform us, the asset, into wealth that can compound and continue to return to you? What's the first thing? You guys said it a moment ago. Call it a salary, call it a job, call it an income, right? We have to start with something, dollars, and our ability to use that salary for something special, okay? Now, we have a salary, we have an income. How do we transform, and let's say this is for property investors right now, how do we transform our salary, our job, income into wealth? What do we do? What's the mechanism in our world, folks? Chuck that one in the chat for me as I'm rambling along here. What's the first mechanism or the second mechanism that we use to transform us, the asset, into other assets that now come along? Boom, Nigel, nailed it. Leverage. Yeah, okay. So we leverage, team. And yes, Alison, we buy an asset, right? We use leverage to buy the asset. Okay, so that's the combo. So first we do we earn an income. That then qualifies us to get leverage and get a loan, which we then buy an investment property. So we're just going to be investment property focused here. You obviously have to get yourself a deposit together, but the first things first, the salary creates the deposit with some savings and some other things. You use that and you get leverage. Just tell me, team, what is the number? And let's say just round numbers here. If you were able to invest in a property with a 90% LVR, loan to value ratio, and this is rough, but do the numbers for me. What is the number, the X times? Now you've taken, let's say, a deposit of 50K at a 90% LVR. What can you purchase? Now forget about the stamp duty and stuff like that. Just round this out because I want everyone to get this. This is so important. What is the X? Look, what X do you times that 50K by? It goes from $50,000 worth of cash and you turn it into what? How much? By and large, team, you can turn that into 500K of property. Boom. Whoever said that? 10 times. 10 times. That's it, Nigel. That's it, Chris. 10 times. 10x your money. 10x your salary. 10x your saving deposit. And now we're off to the races. We all must understand how valuable leverage is when we buy an asset. But on the flip side, team, this knife cuts both ways. Cuts both ways. If you leverage and you buy something with credit that goes down in value and ruins your ability, it doesn't add back ability to you to borrow and continue to go again, then you will go backwards. You buy a car that goes down in value. Actually, not recently. The last couple of years have been interesting. But, you pay 50 grand for a car in cash. What happens to your wealth? It erodes, goes backwards, creates no income. Number two. Number one, number two. Number three, what happens when we buy a property, ladies and gents, team, what happens immediately upon owning a piece of real estate? What is the next factor, the 4X factor that accelerates, compounds your wealth as a property investor right now? What's the third one? after we've 10x'd our cash and turned it into an investment property, now we've bought a property, what happens immediately? We get from that property cash flow. Boom. Mark on it. Income. And plus, we can get back in this section, and we call it income. We can call it some tax deductions. Okay? That income and that tax deductions now is the third accelerator. So now you've leveraged your job. You've bought an asset 10 times the deposit, and now it's creating income and getting you tax deductions. Boom. Mind-blowing. Absolutely gold. Now, it might seem simple, but what a lot of people don't get and understand is how powerful this is compounded over time. And we're going to talk about this. Nikhil, you're already ahead of the curve here right now. And then, so the fourth one, team, is it goes up in value, creates equity, it creates value, and now this thing is $600,000, $600K, and we got $35,000 worth of income now added back to our salary. Now we earn $135,000 minus our expenses, etc., etc., etc. Tell me what we do now, team. Tell me what happens now. We go around. Actually, we're not going to do that because that doesn't look very good. Tell me what happens. What happens now? It's the coolest thing. We go around, and then what happens? We do it again. Okay? Compounding on compounding on compounding. All right? And what does that do? We go again, dead right. Whoever the Facebook user is, who's that? Give me your name in the chat. I want to give you a shout out because you talked about time. You said, all right, time. Use the equity, start again, Ashley. Dead right, mate. Time. This focus, this function, ultimately, done properly, done well, done consistently, gets your time back, all right? Buys your time back. $1 at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time. Hey, Luke, good to see you, mate. Alison and I, we've talked about this a few times. We came up with calling our properties Monday. Hey, do you have your Monday property yet? Think of it in that way, team. One property buys back 1 day of your life. That's why we talk about having 5. And then, it's not a bad idea to have one for Saturday and Sunday, and you'll be crushing it. All right, I'm telling you now. Think of that. So team, why does, the top 20% of people, have 80% more wealth than the bottom 20%? It's a very sad thing because that shouldn't be the case. There's no lack of resources in the world. It's because of the behavior and the understanding about money. And for you guys, for all of us, we're taking the time to make sure we work it out. For you guys, this is it, the compounding. Compounding over time, is the big concept that many of us are wanting to experience and understand when it comes to property investing. The longer you keep and own those bits of real estate, the quality of the real estate, the better the value return. It keeps getting better and better and better. Alison, I think Sam had done a podcast. I can't remember what it is, but if you could remember off the top of your head, be awesome. But, why your first million, the first million is the hardest million, right? Because the second million, this is like 100%. You've only got to increase 50%. Third, you've only got to increase 33. Fourth, you've only got to increase 25. And then fifth million, you've only got to increase, is it 15? No, what is it? 20%, right? So, what happened basically last year, if you had a $5 million portfolio or a $4 million portfolio, I'll do that because it's easier math for me right now on the fly. If you had a $4 million portfolio in the right place, the market has increased 25% in the last 18 months. You made $1 million in equity while you're asleep. While you're asleep, team, folks. And that is why the wealthier will always keep getting wealthy, because they have assets that are not them. They have transformed themselves from the asset out into other marketplaces, businesses, properties, shares. And they continue to do that. And every time those things, depending on their return and their risk factors and all that stuff, every time those things continue to be affected in a positive way by the market, their wealth continues to improve significantly because they worked that stuff out early. Team, transforming this, which is our income, our average income and our average net worth, using similar ideas of this. We're mad property investors, so we love the idea of leverage. We love the idea of real estate. I think you can absolutely crush it in the real estate space. So there you are, team. Get that 4 times leverage or 4 times return on the number one asset, which is you, your income, your job. What do you do right now? What's your plan to transform that into assets that are not you? And I know many of you guys have a very keen plan, a very focused plan on that. But if you don't have a plan, you should have one. And if you want to get one, give us a call, reach out, because that's what we do when it comes to coaching and property investing. But there you go. Anyway, hopefully that was of interest this morning, team. Great to hang out with you guys as always on another Wealth Coffee Chat. Join me tomorrow for another one. As always, if you've got anything, if there's something out there in the marketplace that you guys are like, Jace, can you have a quick chat about this? Give us a shout out, send me a message, or chuck it on, chuck it in the chat, chuck it in the Facebook group, whatever it might be. So there you go. Ashley, mate, we're here for you, brother. We're here for you. All right. Well, that's it, team. Great to hang out. Awesome to see you guys. Thanks for being here. We're done and dusted. Yeah, it's about 8:30, so we should go. See you tomorrow for another Wealth Coffee Chat. Bye, folks. See you later.